Hey, what is up, mortals? I welcome to part 3 season 1 of What If Deku Was Trained by Aizawa. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. Izuku walked into the forest that he had spent the last year cleaning and training in. Aizawa had asked him to arrive earlier that day and to wear stretchy clothes that he knew that he wouldn't wear outside of training in the forest. A pair of clothes specifically for his training, if you will. Which of course he had done. His body was clad in tight black clothing. They were old clothes, and anyone could guess as much from one look. Heck, even his shoes looked like they had seen much better days. Good, you wore old clothes. Aizawa's voice originated from just above Izuku, surprising the boy and causing him to get into a defensive position with his arms above his head, his posture and reaction time showing the fruits of his training over the past year. Here, catch this. Not even giving Izuku the chance to respond, Aizawa dropped a material scarf he had held in his hands, which floated down and landed on Izuku's forearms, somehow staying rolled up and neat. Is this? Izuku's eyes lit up and he actually didn't sound tired for a second. Yes, it's your own capture gear, Aizawa responded, a faint smile forming on his face when he noticed just how happy his student looked. When do I start? Izuku was fuming with excitement, quickly tucking the equipment over his head so that it could rest on his shoulders. Immediately, Aizawa spoke firmly before promptly jumping down from the tree. You have 10 months before the UA entrance exams. This capture gear will be of no use to you during that exam, so make sure to improve on your physical apparatus on the side. Izuku nodded and Aizawa began to show him how to use the capture gear. Sometime later that afternoon, after multiple occasions of Izuku getting tangled and stuck in the capture gear with Aizawa face palming, the day came to a close, and after watching the news and finding out that All Might had defeated some sludge villain, the next 10 months of Izuku's life that consisted of grueling training began. Izuku spent his mornings and sometimes late afternoons training his body while learning how to use the capture equipment, and in the early to mid-afternoons he would study, while at night he would do his usual scrolling through social media for hero clips and spend time being a kid. During this time frame, Izuku polished his body, and even though he was already one of the most physically capable of his classmates, he still managed to improve. About 2 months into this period, Inko decided that she wanted to lose weight and joined Izuku in his physical activity. At the end of the 9th month, Izuku finished clearing the forest and it was restored to its natural beauty. The rubbish had mostly been recycled or moved to a nearby rubbish dump. He spent the last month finishing up whatever little training he had left and spent the last week before the exam resting his body. Finally, the afternoon before the entrance exam came. Izuku met with Aizawa at the entrance of the forest where they had started his training 2 years ago. Good, you arrived, Aizawa started, staring at the forest that he had watched Izuku clean for the past 2 years while the boy walked up from behind. He spoke in his usual tired tone. Have I ever been late? Izuku replied in a just as tired voice, but unlike his teacher, Izuku let out a chuckle. No, you have not. The hero raised a hand and placed it on his student's shoulder. He was proud of his student. Are you ready for tomorrow, Midoriya? Aizawa already knew the answer, but he wanted to know if his student knew the same. I don't think I could be more ready for tomorrow. Izuku gained a determined look on his face while straightening his posture, his voice reflecting his confidence. Don't get cocky, kid. There is only so much you can do without a quirk, Aizawa spoke bluntly, but internally he was cheering his student on. I know, Izuku's expression wavered for a second, but his emotions held strong. Well, kid, I think it's best that you go ahead and get home so you can do whatever little studying you have left to do. Izuku nodded and turned to face his idol and teacher. Thank you, Sensei Aizawa. Izuku bowed before beginning to walk away while waving at his teacher. The next day, Izuku arrived at UA and he felt ready for anything. Walking onto the grounds, the boy took in the sight of the entrance to UA and found that he couldn't help but let his jaw drop. This is it. This is where my life will be decided. The boy became confused when he found his face plummeting towards the ground. In his deep thought, he had failed to notice the uneven placement of the cement blocks in the ground and thus tripped over one. Oh crap. The boy quickly moved his left foot around and in front of his other foot, stopping his fall. Oop. The sound of a startled feminine voice scared Izuku. The boy quickly looked behind him and found a brunette with an unusually round face staring at him with her hand outstretched. Haha, you managed to save yourself. The girl reached up and scratched the back of her head awkwardly. Why, yeah. Izuku replied, fixing his posture. Well, good luck with the exam, the girl said, placing her fingertips against each other. You too. The girl walked off and Izuku found himself standing on his own in silence. Oi, shitty Deku, get out of my way. Izuku flinched due to the sudden loud noise from behind him and quickly shifted to the side. Raising his arms in a defensive position, Izuku looked behind him to see none other than Bakugo standing there, palm outstretched and ready to blast Izuku into the next dimension. Oh, Kachin, it's you. Izuku forced a smile which pissed off the explosive teen. I don't know why you're wasting everyone's time, Deku. You should just go apply for law school or become a fitness trainer, Bakugo remarked. acknowledging both Izuku's physical capabilities and his intelligence. Yeah, see you at school on Monday, Kachin," Izuku said in an annoyed tone while walking off, which angered his childhood bully even more. Damn that quirkless brat, Bakugo thought to himself as he stomped into the building after Izuku. Intermission. Honey. This video was sponsored by Honey. Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, Safari. If it's a browser, it has Honey. Honey automatically saves you money when you check out on sites like Amazon, Papa John's, and Kohl's. Wherever you shop, it's a good chance that Honey can save you money. All you have to do when you're checking out at these big sites is click that little orange button, and it will scan the entire internet and find discount codes for you. It takes 2 clicks to install Honey. Now anytime you check out, Honey will scan the whole internet and find coupon codes for you. If there is a coupon code, they will find it, and if there's not a coupon code, you can rest assured that you are getting the best price possible. If you install Honey right now, you can save so much money on your online shopping doing nothing. There's no reason not to install Honey. It takes 2 clicks, 10 million people use it, 100,000 5-star reviews. Unless you hate money, you should install Honey. Use the link in the description to start saving money now. Continuation. The written exam went as Izuku expected. Well, besides the fact that a blue-haired student with glasses called his muttering out in front of the whole hall of students. The boy finished half an hour early and took the time to sleep on his arms, which the students around him found annoying. When the practical exam came about, Izuku along with about 24 examinees stood outside a massive entrance to a test city, something Izuku found peculiar. The greenet saw the same brunette as before in his peripheral view and almost went to go talk to her, but ultimately decided against it and took the time to stretch instead. "What are you doing standing there? Villains wait for no one," President Mike announced, and the doors suddenly opened. The whole group of people, including Izuku, quickly began to run, with Izuku managing to gain a slight distance in between he and the rest of the examinees. They motivated the boy. Maintaining a solid pace, the boy went through the streets and attacked the robots. Luckily for him, these robots had buttons at the back of their necks that allowed students with not-so-destructive quirks to get past the entrance exam. He was able to destroy the 1-pointers with some struggle, but the 2 and 3-pointers all surpassed him in terms of power and durability. Needless to say, Izuku racked up quite a few points in the back alleys and streets, on the odd occasion going out into the main streets to help an examinee who was cornered or otherwise struggling to defeat a robot. About halfway through, Izuku came across a blonde examinee with a lightning bolt in his hair. He was surrounded by robots, which consisted of 4 2-pointers and 1 3-pointer, and had his hands in the air in front of his torso with his thumbs up. He looked to have an IQ of at least 15, which Izuku found weird but just ignored. "Stand still," Izuku called out as he ran towards the student. "Yeah," the student said in a half-beat voice while Izuku ran up behind the 3-pointer and jumped onto its shoulders. "Boy, up here," Izuku called out to the robots, catching their attention as he reached down and hit the button on the neck of the robot. Soon after, the 2-pointers began to shoot their rubber bullets at him, which he evaded by jumping into the air, planting his feet onto the wall and jumping over both the 2-pointers to the right of the blonde. "Duck," Izuku yelled out, jumping down onto his hands and swinging his legs. Izuku literally swept the boy off his feet, which caused the boy to yelp as his backside collided with the ground. "Yeah," was all the boy said as rubber bullets narrowly missed his head and collided with the 2-pointers that now began to fire bullets at Izuku, who quickly jumped into the air again, narrowly avoiding the bullets as well. "Just a bit more," the greenet thought to himself, taking a rubber bullet to his right leg as he landed on the 2-pointer and pressed the button on its neck. Izuku then went on to do the same thing with the other 3 2-pointers, jumping above them, getting hit by a bullet and then hitting their button. "Ha, ha, ha." Izuku huffed and puffed, taking deep breaths to catch his breath. "Are you all right?" Izuku asked, to which the boy nodded in response. "Gee, good luck then." Izuku had racked up quite a few points, to the point that he couldn't even remember how many he had. But he didn't want to sit around and do nothing to risk his chances of getting into UA, so he fixed his posture and went off, running for the main street since he could no longer find any active robots in the back alleys. Once the boy made it to the main streets, the sight of people running in a specific direction confused the boy, but a sudden rumbling clued the boy in on what was happening. 1 minute left. President Mike didn't worry Izuku too much. What did worry him was the source of the rumbling. Far away from Izuku but closing in on him was the 0-pointer, a massive robot that was able to look down on the buildings around the boy. Orino, fear filled the boy's face as he walked into the street. This thing was massive compared to him, and he instantly understood why it was worth 0 points. It was a robot that no one besides the likes of All Might and maybe a handful of other heroes could defeat with ease. Turning around, Izuku got ready to run for his life, but something caught his attention. As someone help. Izuku turned his head over his shoulder and his eyes widened. The girl he had spoken to just before he entered UAS main building was stuck with her leg caught under some rubble, and the zero-pointer was closing in on her. Turning around and dashing towards the girl before his mind could even register what was going on, Izuku made his way towards the girl as fast as he could. There was no way for him to stop the zero-pointer, but the least he could do was pull the girl right out of the way of the robot if the examiners didn't stop the giant robot in time. "See, can you walk?" Izuku asked in a panic as he arrived at the girl's side. Quickly lifting up the rubble that the girl's leg was stuck under, he allowed for her to quickly move her leg out of the way. "And no, I can't." Izuku nodded and quickly picked her up bridal style, which made her blush. It was the first thing he could think of doing and made a break for it. The entrance exam has come to a close. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We The Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We The Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.